Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my Old Guy Skate Regrets series. My name is Rob, and the backstory is that I skated when I was younger, took 26 years off, and eventually started skating again as an adult. But during that 26 years, I spent a pretty good amount of time reflecting on my old skate days. I had a lot of great memories back then, but I also had some regrets. There were things that I wished that I had done while I was still skating. I never worked up the nerve to drop in on a vert ramp. I never got to skate a pool. I never got to skate a full pipe. I never got to skate the pickroll pool, which was a local spot in the woods near my house growing up. And I never got to skate a ditch. Now that I'm skating again, I've had the opportunity to go back and do some of these things that I've always wanted to do. In the last episode, I skated my very first ditch. I've also skated the pickroll pool, so that's 2 down, 3 to go. And today, I want to talk about skating a full pipe. If you are lucky enough to have a full pipe at your local skate park, you've probably taken this one for granted, but this is something that I've wanted to do since the 80s. I'm going to take you back to 1988. That was the year that I got my hands on a board game called VCR California Games. It was a spin-off of the very popular computer game California Games, but this was the board game version. I only played the board game probably 2 or 3 times, but it came with a VHS videotape. That videotape was full of clips of California-style sports, surfing, skateboarding, BMX, bodyboarding, jet skiing, windsurfing. It was pretty much a smorgasbord of awesome action sports. Now, I may not have played the board game very much, but this videotape was on an endless loop in my house. It was the first opportunity that I ever had to watch surfing and skating in video format instead of just seeing pictures in magazines. Well, there was one clip that really caught my eye. It was a guy skating a full pipe. Now, if you know your classic skate spots, you will recognize this instantly as Baldy Pipe, the most famous full pipe of all time. There were 2 thoughts that came to mind when I saw it. The first was, whoa, that looks like a lot of fun. And the second was, where the heck do you find a giant drain pipe like this? Is that a California thing, or are they just out there in the wild? It really piqued my imagination. And ever since then, I had the hankering to ride a full pipe. Now, the bad news is that I never got to skate one, but the good news is that I've been skating again as an adult. I've been back at it for 3.5 years, so what better time to skate a full pipe than now? Better late than never. Now, the ultimate thing would be to book a flight out to California and make the pilgrimage to Baldy Pipe. That would be awesome. But I thought it would be a little bit more practical to research some local skate parks and see if there were any skate parks that had full pipes around here. Now, unfortunately, there are no skate parks with full pipes in New Jersey, but thankfully, our neighboring state of Pennsylvania has a few different skate parks that have full pipes. 2 of which are reasonably close, so I figured I could go out, make a day trip out of it, and still get home in time for supper. Those 2 skate parks are Reed Menzer Skate Park in York, Pennsylvania, and Lancaster County Skate Park in Lancaster. The interesting thing is that both of these parks have very different full pipes, both in terms of the diameter and the material that they're made from. So I thought that this would be a pretty interesting opportunity to skate both of these parks back to back and see how the size of the pipe and the material play into the ride. All right, let's go skate a full pipe. Got to skate my first full pipe. All right, let's do a little recap. The first pipe that I skated was a smaller 12-foot diameter full pipe made of steel. When I first started to skate it, I was really trying to stay inside the pipe and just go back and forth. It wasn't really the best approach for me because it was a little bit hectic once you got in there. I think that was mostly due to the small diameter, but probably also because it's made of metal. So it's faster, it's a little bit slippery. A better approach for me was to pick a line through the pipe, but then hit the walls a couple times on the way through and see how high I could get. I found it to be pretty challenging to get up to that 9 o'clock mark. It almost felt like there was an invisible ceiling holding me down. And as far as getting over 9 o'clock, that was not happening for me. I guess I probably have to work on my pump a little bit. Now, the second pipe that I skated was a larger 16-foot diameter pipe. That pipe was a lot more conducive to staying inside and just going back and forth. I think that the larger transitions really gave me a lot more time to think, and it also meant that I was going much higher up on the walls, so that added to the excitement. As far as construction, it was made of concrete on the bottom and steel on the top. So kind of a unique construction for a full pipe. One of the positive things about concrete is that it was grippier, so that gave me more confidence when riding it. The downside is that that extra grip meant that if I got lazy with the kick turn and dragged my front wheels a little bit, it would usually catch and buck me off. Okay, that was a pretty good entry-level introduction to full pipe skating, but I could tell that I was craving something else. One of the things that really drew me to full pipe skating to begin with was the thought that these pipes are out there ready to be found and skated. So I started doing a little bit of recon, and I found actually a lot of full pipes to skate, but they were all out on the West Coast, so I just gave up. Well, a few months later, I was reading an old skate blog, and I came across a post about an East Coast full pipe. It was somewhere in Virginia. They didn't say exactly where, but there was a picture of a guy standing in the pipe, and there was a little write-up describing the spot. I love trying to find spots based on limited clues. So I looked carefully at the picture, and I read that write-up, just looking for any clues. I put the pieces together, and I found it. It turns out that this spot is a series of large full pipes, all one next to another, and there's a river that flows through them. It's actually a pretty fickle spot, highly dependent on the water level of the river. So if the water level is low enough, then some of the pipes stay dry and presumably rideable. If the water level rises even just a little bit, water ends up flowing through all of the pipes, and then it's just a washout. Now, this skate spot is hours from my house. I didn't want to drive all the way down there and get skunked, so I monitored this water level for months. The US government keeps data on virtually every river in the United States. So you can just go to the website and you can look up that river and find up-to-the-minute water level information. After a few months, I noticed that the water level had dropped just about as low as it ever goes. So I packed up the car and headed on out to the spot that I call Seven Pipes. Now, I had done quite a bit of logistical planning before taking this trip. I can't believe how smoothly it went. I knew exactly where to park. I knew exactly which trail to take from my car to the pipes. When I got down to the pipes, I put on some boots that I brought because I knew that I would need to hike through the water to get to the spot. But then when I saw the pipes, my heart sank. It was the one thing that I hadn't taken into consideration. These pipes have had water flowing through them for decades. Not only was it the roughest concrete that I've ever seen, but the bottom of each one of the pipes was completely eroded. And I'm not talking like a little bit of a bump. There was a jagged canyon at the bottom of each of these pipes. You could even see the metal skeleton of the pipe exposed in some spots. This thing didn't look rideable, but I had come a long way, so I wasn't going to give up too quickly. I picked the driest pipe, walked the length of the pipe, inspecting the bottom, just looking for anything that looked possibly skatable. I finally found one section way at the end that looked kinda good. So I threw on my gear, thought I'd give it a shot. I didn't even really know how to get started. I tried pushing from the bottom. That didn't really work. I tried thruster starts. I tried a bunch of other things. I was having a hard time getting started because the concrete was so rough that it was stopping my board before I could even get rolling. I thought to myself that if I had more momentum, it might be able to carry me over all of this crust and I could get a run going. That's about the time that I noticed that about 5 feet up there was a little bit of a ledge. I thought maybe if I could drop in from there, that would give me the momentum that I needed. So I climbed up onto this ledge, this tiny little ledge, and I'm standing up there trying to hold my balance. The wind is whipping, and it felt like I was standing on the ledge of a building. It was insane. So I stood up there trying to talk myself into dropping in. And it wasn't that I had doubts in my ability. I knew that I could do the drop in. If this were a skate park and the concrete were perfectly smooth, I wouldn't have even hesitated. But knowing that the concrete was super rough and pitted, I didn't know if I committed to this drop in, would my board actually roll or would it stop short and pitch me to the bottom? If I got pitched and scraped up, I would probably end up with a staph infection. So it was not looking good. But hey, I did it anyway. I made it to the other side successfully. From there, I just added kick turns and gradually built a little run for myself. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It doesn't seem like much, but honestly, I didn't know if I would be able to get anything going at all in that pipe. So to be able to drop in and get a bunch of kick turns, for me, that was a victory. I'll take it. One thing that was completely awesome is that echo in there. It sounded like I was riding a freight train. It was awesome. Well, it wasn't exactly the full pipe experience that I had in mind, but on the other hand, it was exactly the full pipe experience that I had in mind. It was a challenge to find the spot. It was an adventure to get there. Inside the pipe itself, there was that tremendous echo. It was like a wind tunnel in there. Let's not forget the tunnel bugs. And I really had to step it up and step outside of my comfort zone to get anything going on this. That's skating a full pipe in the wild. You're not going to have an experience like that at the skate park. Okay, so skating a full pipe, I'm going to say mission accomplished. That's 3 down, 2 to go. So I don't think my quest is over yet for skating a full pipe. I still have a list of skate parks that have full pipes. I'd like to get out to some of those and work on my technique a little bit. It would be cool to work on my front side turns. I think it would also be fun to try and get over that 9 o'clock point. I also have my eye on a few full pipes in the wild. So looks like I've got a little bit of work to do still. Hey, thank you for joining me on this journey to skate a full pipe. If you've ever skated a full pipe, let me know. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. My name is Rob, signing off. Thanks for watching.